Welcome to the Five Fug Podcast. Welcome, my friend. My name is Wonu Alishe. Sometimes I do go by the Amazing Soul. Thank you so much for taking time out to listen to me. I truly appreciate you. um, on today's podcast, let's get right into it. I'm pretty excited about today's podcast because it's something that it took me a very long time to even realize what was happening, and until I started to really embody that, I wasn't able to express exactly and understand what was actually going on. So let's get into it, guys. Today's podcast is about the question: is something wrong with me, or is my nervous system just wired this way? Now, let me start with a question that I have personally I've asked myself so many times than I can count. Is something wrong with you, Wanu? I don't even ask it loudly. I don't even always know I was asking it. It was more of like a quiet question that lived underneath my thoughts, my reactions, my relationships, my body. I always ask myself, why do I overthink this much? Why do I feel overwhelmed when nothing is technically wrong? Why does slowing down feel uncomfortable instead of peaceful? Why do I know what to do, but I still feel stuck? And for a long time, my conclusion was very simple: something must be wrong with me. I want to share something important right away. That question, is something wrong with me, is one of the most common questions that come from a dysregulated nervous system. Not from a broken one, but a protective one. Before I understood that, I personally internalized the opposite. You see, for most of my life, I thought my reactions were flaws. I thought my sensitivity was a weakness. I thought my hyper awareness was a problem. I also thought my need to stay alert, prepared, and in control meant I was doing life wrong. I also compared myself to people who seemed calm without effort, who could rest without guilt, who could sit still without their mind racing. And I kept thinking, what is it that they have that I don't? Here's the part that no one told me back then. Your nervous system doesn't wire itself randomly. No, far from it, my friend. It wires itself in response to your environment. It learns from repetition, from what was rewarded, from what was punished, from what was safe, and from what wasn't. Your nervous system is not asking, who do I want to be? No, it's asking, what do I need to do to survive here? For me, survival looked like staying alert. So, growing up as a child, my system learned that being relaxed wasn't always safe. Being observant was, being adaptable was, reading the room was, anticipating what was coming next was. So, my body learned to stay slightly ahead of the moment. Not because I wanted to, but because it worked for decades. And when something works, the nervous system just keeps it. But here's where things get confusing later in life. Your environment starts to change, but your nervous system doesn't automatically update. No. So now you're an adult, you're capable, you're safe in ways you weren't before, yet your body still responds like it's back there in the past. And that's when the self judgment kicks in. Thoughts like, why am I still like this? I should definitely be over this by now. Or other people don't struggle like this. I remember a very specific moment in my life when this really, really hit home for me. This was around the time I was personally dealing with intense lower back pain. Physically, my body literally forced me to slow down. And mentally, everything I had been out running caught up with me. At that point in my life, I couldn't distract myself the way I used to. I couldn't push through the way I used to. My nervous system had no choice but to be felt. And instead of feeling peace, right, I literally was feeling panic. Slowing down didn't feel like relief. It felt very unsafe for me at that time. And that scared the shit out of me. You see, I remember lying there thinking, people talk about rest like it's healing. So why does this feel terrifying? That's when I started realizing something very important. My nervous system didn't associate stillness with safety. It associated stillness with vulnerability. So of course, my body resisted it. This is the part I want you to really hear me say. If your nervous system learns safety through movement, alertness, achievement, or even control, then slowing down will initially feel wrong. Not because it's wrong, but because it is unfamiliar. And unfamiliar doesn't equal unsafe, even though your body might interpret it that way at first. So here's another personal moment in my life. I used to beat myself up a lot for needing reassurance in relationships. I'll think, why can't I just trust? Why do I need to talk things through so much? Why do I feel unsettled when there's emotional distance? And again, this story was something is wrong with me. That was the underlying story there. Until I started looking at it through the lens of the nervous system. You see, my system learned connection through consistency, through checking, through feedback, through closeness, right? So when that wasn't present, my body did not interpret that as neutrality. No, my body interpreted that as a threat. Not a logical one, but a physiological one. This is where compassion starts to change everything. Because when you understand that your reactions are learned responses, not character defect, you stop trying to fix yourself. Because you're not broken, my friend. And you start learning how to work with your system instead of against it. Now, let me say this very clearly. There's a huge difference between being wounded and being wired. And many of us confuse the two. Being wounded implies something is broken, right? Being wired means something was trained. There's a difference. And trained systems can always be repatterned, not through force, but through safety. Your nervous system doesn't respond to logic at first, it responds to experience. That's why insight alone doesn't always change behavior. No. I mean, you can literally understand yourself so deeply and still feel stuck. Literally, because your body hasn't felt the safety of a new option yet. That is why healing, like I always say, is not linear. And that's why old patterns always resurface again. And it's not because you failed, but because your system is literally checking in every moment. Is this still safe now? Every time you meet that moment with awareness instead of shame, that pattern loses intensity. Not instantly, gradually in micro moments. I want to pause here and speak directly to you, my friend. If you've ever thought, why am I like this? Why can't I just be normal? Why does this feel so hard for me? I want you to consider a different question. What did my nervous system have to learn to get me here? Pause with that. That question changes everything. It shifts perspective because it immediately replaces judgment with curiosity. And curiosity, my friend, is regulating. That is the magic. When I stopped asking, what's wrong with me? And I started asking, what happened that taught my body this? Something internally softened. I wasn't fighting myself anymore. I started to listen. And here's the truth that doesn't get said enough. Your nervous system isn't behind. No, way far from it, my friend. It's just loyal to an old environment. Healing then is not about becoming someone else. No, it's about helping your body update its understanding of the present. And this happens through repetition, through gentleness, through small moments of safety, not through force. So if you're someone who overthinks, feels on edge for no reason, struggles with rest, feels emotionally reactive, needs time to trust, feels deeply, I want you to hear this from my heart to yours with so much love. You are not defective. No, your system is patterned, and patterns can always fucking change. When safety is introduced slowly enough for your body to start to believe it, that's the difference. I would end with this. The most healing question I have learned to ask myself isn't what is wrong with me. No, it's what does my nervous system need right now to feel a little safer? Sometimes the answer is movement. Sometimes it's rest. Sometimes it's honesty. Sometimes it's space. Sometimes it's just connection. And I will tell you this right now. There is no one size fits all. There's only relationship with your body. And when you build a relationship with your nervous system, you stop trying to escape yourself and you start coming home. If this resonated with you, I want to remind you, you're not alone. And no, there is nothing wrong with you. I will keep saying that over and over and over and over and over again. Your nervous system has just been doing its job, and now it's simply learning a new one. That's it. Thank you so much for taking time out, for being here, for listening to me. I really appreciate you. From my heart to yours, I am sending you so much love. Thank you.